Perfect.
I grew up one of 5 kids with good parents, but in a very strict church that is a cult called the Exclusive Brethren.
Yeah, the cult.
Honestly, it was like living in a teacup. Everything was small, controlled and watched. We were at church all weekend and most nights of the week. My dad saw life as black and white, right or wrong, no in between shades. By the time I was 18, I was done. I just started work at Eiffel Studios in the darkroom developing photos, and I fell for one of the photographers there. But the cult rules were so extreme, I wasn't even allowed to have morning tea with my workmates. Imagine trying to explain that in office today.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't share your muffins because you're basically condemned. One Monday night, my dad yelled down the hall, "Barbara, hurry up or we'll be late for the prayer meeting." I said, "I'm not coming." He froze, turned and said, "Well, I don't want you here when I get back." And that was it. I packed a bag, walked to a phone booth. This was before cell phones, and you actually had to memorise numbers, and called Marion Judd, a lady who had left the church just weeks earlier. She picked me up from the side of the road. That was my great escape. Now let me tell you, I had no idea how the outside world worked. People talked about bands, movies, politics. I didn't have a clue. I even copied my flatmates' bad table manners because that's what I thought you did. If the boys put their elbows on the table, I thought, oh, that's what sophisticated people do. By 22, Barry and I moved to Auckland and started a photography business. 3 years later, and then we bought the little yacht Flamingo. We sailed to Lord Howe Island, Brisbane, and up the Barrier Reef to Papua New Guinea. I was basically learning life and navigation at the same time, not always successfully. Later we sold the yacht, came home and started building a 50-footer, but my marriage was sinking faster than any boat. Barry was unfaithful, and eventually I stood on the shore watching Arawa sail away without me. Talk about a gut punch. So once again I was left alone, heartbroken, starting over. Honestly, my 20s and 30s were a crash course in mistakes, survival, and figuring out how not to lose myself. But here's the thing, even when I felt most abandoned, and I can see now that God was still with me. I didn't know it at the time, but He was there, guiding me, pulling me through. Someone suggested I go see Barbie Robbins. He was going through a divorce, and I started cleaning his house. I was young and cute, and one thing led to another. Eventually, he became my husband, and we were married for 48 years. Slowly, I made friends in what was still a foreign world to me. One of them was a Christian who recognised how fragile I was. She gently opened my eyes to God's love, not religion, not rules, just God. I ended up being baptised. In fact, that was 44 years ago to the day when we had our baptism service at the Lake Wanaka a few weeks back. The scripture that carried me then was Psalm 68, 5-6. God is a father to the fatherless. He sets the lonely in families. I'd lost my earthly father, but I'd gained a heavenly one. I'd lost my whole family, 4 siblings, dozens of cousins, but I'd been adopted into Brian's family with his 3 kids, and even his ex-wife Dorothy, who Josh still calls Auntie Dorothy. Even though my faith was alive again, Brian never let me go to church. He'd grown up in the same cult and had been hurt so deeply he couldn't trust leaders, even though he loved God. He was afraid church would brainwash me too. So for decades I had to fight just to go. Even when Josh was little, it was a struggle. But God kept chasing me down. One day I felt prompted to ring Bill Sabritsky, a well-known evangelist at the time. Long story short, he prayed for me, and the heavy weight of religion and fear I'd been carrying just fell off. In its place came God's spirit of love and peace. God also gave me 3 amazing friends at that time. One Catholic, one was Baptist, one Anglican. They showed me it wasn't about denominations or little theological arguments, but about love, people, and Jesus. We made faith fun. We'd go to the Auckland Domain and one of them would say, "Let's do communion." I'd gasp, "We can't do communion out here in the park," but we did. And slowly, one by one, those religious chains fell off. And honestly, even at 18, they're still falling off. That's why I'll finish with this. We have to be careful how we frame God to people. We can either do it with love, which brings life, or with fear, which leaves scars that can last a lifetime. I'm just so thankful for the people who brought me healing and to God, who never forsake me and never let me go.